business right, you can make a massive, massive. Okay. And so I would say before I get into a whole bunch of like what's changed for us in our office and myself personally, if I can speak for a moment on the power of our platform and of recruiting in the beginning here. Um, Guys, our model is different than a lot of I would say almost everything out there in the industry because we're non-linear. Most companies in financial services, you're somebody that's plugging into this brokerage or this RIA or the broker dealer or whatever, and you're going out and you're like a one-man army. You're going out, you're trying to get the referrals and joining the chamber and doing all your personal prospecting, and that's fine. And you should pursue those things, but it's very limiting. I have a family friend that's with a Merrill Lynch team down in South Florida. They do high net worth money management. Their team, it's three people. They manage about 700 million as an RIA. Okay. He told me, they said, yeah, there's somebody else that wants to join their team. And he looked at me and said, they only have 150 million that they manage. So we're not going to let them join our team because they look at this and say, hey, if we're managing 700, 750 million and this guy's only bringing in 150 million and we got to split the revenue, there's no reason for us to bring this guy in, which is kind of crazy, right? I mean, imagine bringing somebody into this business on your team that has $150 million that they manage. That'd be awesome, right? So a lot of the other companies in our field here in our industry, they have nothing like what we have, right? They don't understand where this plays into. So that's a pretty powerful thing because everybody can win here at the top, right? Everybody can achieve the same contract. Everybody can be an SMD and above. There's unlimited partnership at the top here. That's a very, very powerful thing, and why I'm still here. I think that this is the best opportunity in financial services by far. And before I graduated college, I did look around a little bit just to make sure this is where I want to plant my roots. So you can do your due diligence, but I'm telling you, there's nothing better out there for sure. All right. Um, and I would say recruiting and building a team introduces kind of a best of both worlds scenario from the standpoint of when you bring somebody new into business and something positive happens, two great things can happen. Number one, you bring somebody in and they could be the next player. They could be the next Josh Schwederman or the next Tyson, or I'm not familiar with all your businesses, but I know Alec, you have a pretty great business going on right now. The next Alec, whoever, right? And that's always should be goal one, right? You want to bring somebody in and treat them like they're the next big player, in our company. However, if somebody comes into business and maybe this isn't for them, well, all those people you help train them with, all those clients that they brought in, they developed, they got to go somewhere. And as their trainer, they're familiar with you. And so that's another way that, if that person doesn't work out, it opens you up to a whole host of new markets. Guys, I just did a review meeting last night with somebody. They're not my largest client by net worth, but my largest client by assets with me. They have about 4 million with me, 3.5, 4 million with me. That was through tap rooting. That was last year. I brought somebody into business. They closed three cases. Their first case was 7,000 points in IULs. Their next case was this person. It was 4 million in rollovers. The third case was about 700,000 in rollovers. And then they quit. They decided they want to do something else and they walked away, which is crazy, but whatever. And all those clients rolled up to me and I'm getting referrals from those people now. In fact, that person gave me a referral during our meeting. Those are people that I never would have met without bringing somebody into business. It never would have happened. And so had I wished that person stayed, yeah, because if they would have kept that pace up, they could have been great in our business. But worst comes to worst, I've got some incredible relationships out of it. Okay. So I look at building a team, it's like rocket fuel. You can really collapse a lot of time frames by building a team. Okay. And if I look at where I was last year to this year, so last year going to Wealthway Convention, I was a recent MD, which is pretty much I had the team, but of the 5 licenses, I would say 2.5 were active. And of the 40,000 points for the promotion, I think I produced probably 39,000 of those points. I was like a one-man army. So I was a recent MD, but it was mostly me. I was walking into convention, maybe 80,000 personal points, a couple teammates that were actually doing things, but it was mostly me. Fast forward a year later, I'm probably sitting rolling 12, maybe 160, 170,000 points, SMD, team of maybe 10 to 12 people right now. I'd go back and look at my lifeline there. And so if I can go into like what changed, well, at the end of last year, going to the convention, personally, I looked at that and said, this just isn't fast enough, right? For the amount of work I'm putting in, I'd like to be farther quicker. And our office got together and we really looked around. We have like a full timers meeting every Monday morning where everybody that plugs in full time gets together and we do kind of a strategic wham all together, or like a mastermind group, right? And we kind of sat there and said, hey, for the past year and a half here, it's been the same faces showing up to training, the same faces in the full timers group. There's no new blood. And we've got the client side of this down very, very well. If you looked at our earnings per licenses, it was very, very good. It was probably, you know, top whatever in the company, but we just weren't getting new people in. And we had to make a change. What do we change here? And we did a complete overhaul of just how we recruit and how we have the conversation and how we bring somebody on and fast start them. And I wouldn't say that we have this necessarily, dialed in 100%, but I can say this is night and day from where we were. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some of the changes that we've made and what's been working and what we're still working on. Okay. So I would say when it comes to building a team and recruiting people in this business, there's really three major steps that I see. Okay. For at least the startup process. Number one, you're going to have your prospecting and how to actually have a conversation and engage with people. Okay. Number two is going to be the interview process and the dream selling and getting a commitment from people. And then number three is starting them out fast and solidifying that dream. Okay. So this first part here, prospecting, I will say that this is probably the area that I can give you the least amount of guidance on, just because I do believe that the people that you bring in to your office are going to be a little bit dependent on the style of business that you run. And I know that every office is different to different, how you set up plans and what you're looking for and that kind of a thing. So you do, I guess, to a degree, have to find people that align with your system and your mission and what you're doing and are like-minded in that way. And that's probably gonna be different for you versus us versus whoever, right? So I would say number one, you got to identify, who these people are. Who are the types of people that you want to work with? Again, I'm not part of the WFG culture where it's, hey, let's just go out and recruit anybody and everybody and hope they stick, right? I want to be very strategic about who I spend my time with, ongoing, right? So what type of traits do these people possess? Where do people that have these traits, where do they hang out? Where can you meet these people? How do you engage in a conversation? For me, some things that I'm looking for in people when I am prospecting for recruits, I want to see somebody that wants to win in life, that wants something, a little bit more, that's not someone that's dissatisfied, someone that's good with delayed gratification, someone that's sharp, someone that I know can pass the licenses and do the actual, analytical side of the business. So that's just to name a few things, right? So identify who it is that you're looking for and where those people are. And then you have to have just an easy way to initiate the conversation. And typically what I do, it's much like if I was prospecting for a client, right? I get to know somebody a little bit, might develop some sort of relationship with them, whether it's through the client process or it's just someone that I, make a friend solve a problem or someone I meet, whatever way. And typically, if it's someone that I would want to prospect, I'll just let them know, hey, it's been great to get to know you. I noticed that you have XYZ traits, whatever things that they know to be true about themselves that are positive. People that are successful in our business have these traits as well. I'm not sure what you're currently open to, but if another opportunity came around and the money was right and you could do it part-time, would you be open to something bigger and better? It's just something like that, right? Hey, you have these things. We're looking to build and expand. If you could do something part-time and the money was right, would you be open to something bigger and better? And most people that are truly looking for something else are going to say yes to a conversation like that. And that gets you in the door. Okay. And that doesn't even go just for your own personal recruiting. That could be through tap recruiting, through team. I will say, much like clients, a lot of times your best teammates are going to be maybe not the person you bring in, but someone else they introduce you to, right? But yeah, again, you gotta find a way to initiate that conversation. You gotta find the right type of a person. Like that's step one. And then I would say once you have that interest from that person, you need to have a systematic, duplicatable process for how you introduce them to the business and you get a commitment. And that's something that we really work to overhaul because beforehand, the bringing someone into business was kind of like the Wild West in our office. It was, hey, if you know somebody, you bring them in, you interview them, you say whatever you want. There was no questions, there was no scripting. It was just go for it. And that didn't work, obviously. So we actually developed a 3 meeting recruiting process for our office. And everybody has the same questions they ask. the same process that they initiate. We scan everybody's interview sheets so that there's a central database for what everybody's saying, right? And I can get into some more detail here at the end, time permitting, about what that looks like. But